Hello there, fellow bookish beings. It's Jessica. I'm glad you're here because I wanted to share one of my reading goals, which is to finally connect with Virginia Woolf. I want to understand why so many readers adore her. After reading Orlando and Mrs. Dalloway, I still wasn't quite there, so I thought I'd get a room of my own in a quiet Italian town near Venice to study a room of one's own. Totally kidding. It just happened to collide with a work trip, but the timing was perfect. Woolf's famous argument was simple. To write fiction, a woman needs money and a room of her own. In 1929, that was £500 a year. Today, £500 is about £27,600, according to the Bank of England. And Wolf does emphasize that this income must be independent, must be unencumbered, not tied to a benefactor whose expectations could limit the freedom of the writer. Because only with financial and personal space, Wolf argues that a woman can write without fear or compromise. And we'll see this later in an example that she'll give with Austen and Bronte. But first, we meet the narrator calling herself Mary Betton or Seton, which actually didn't matter. This narrator is preparing a lecture on women and fiction. She's at Oxbridge and she was stopped from entering the library because she doesn't have a letter from a male fellow. Woolf uses this moment to show how women were denied not only of rooms but access to knowledge itself, which she deeply explores in the book as well. As I was walking around the city, I met Judith Shakespeare, William Shakespeare's imagined sister, which was an example given to us by Mary herself. Judith, she said, was just as talented as Shakespeare, but because she lived in Elizabethan England, she was denied education, even dismissed and mocked, and finally broken by the constraints around her. She could not express her genius because she wasn't allowed to. And so Wolf's point did hit hard at this point that genius doesn't really bloom without opportunity. For every Shakespeare who survived, how many Judiths never had a chance? And then we get the comparison between Austen and Bronte. The sponsor of today's video is me. Are you also introverted but looking for a kindred spirit? Are you also a 20 something trying to figure life out as it goes? Do you like books? Love books? Then subscribe to my channel and we can be bookish and introverted together. In Woolf's comparison, Jane Austen wrote effortlessly because she accepted her circumstances and wrote through constant interruptions. And Jane Austen was okay with it. Meanwhile, Charlotte Bronte wrote with the weight of her frustration, and according to Woolf, Bronte's anger at her constraints can then be seen in the fiction that she was writing. That was why in Jane Eyre, we would see some bouts of explosion with a character, which actually I think were my favorite parts of the novel. I saw certain truths in Wolf's arguments as clear as the sky in this quiet little town. Financial stability does free creativity because it removes the fear of survival that can suffocate ideas. And I felt this was especially true for me when I moved abroad. I had more financial constraints, and therefore I could not choose or take risks as liberally as I might have had I not moved and had I not incurred such financial constraints. But somehow, when I was first examining this book, the argument felt elitist to me until maybe half or three quarters of the book. Because people don't get to choose, or well, most people don't really get to choose calm private rooms to work in. Most people don't get to choose where and how they work because of practical circumstances that they are in. Still, I did get her bigger point, which was that the absence of women in literary
It's
history
anyway to an
wasn't
subject
due
that's
to
highly
the
controversial
lack of talent,
and get a
but
question about
the lack of
sexism that
space,
one
time,
cannot
and
prove
support at the time.
self-worth. One can only show how
Wolf ended the
one
book with
came
hope,
to
though,
hold whatever opinion
saying
one
that
wants to
if
hold.
women earn
One can only give
and claim
advice.
space for themselves and
One can
learn,
only give
then
one's audience a chance to
Judith
grow and
Shakespeare
become
will be reborn
individuals
among us.
as they observe the
So, what do you
limitations
think
and
of A Room of
prejudices
One's
and
Own?
idiosyncrasies
I'd
of
love to
fate.
hear your thoughts in the comments down below, and we can have our own commentary salon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next book.